Jason Mewes in studio with us. Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy Cartoon Movie Tour starts tomorrow, 4/20, y'all, at the Center Stage Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. Jay, good to see you, pal.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Command Center. We're keeping an eye on everything in Boston here at the same time, and it's just complete bedlam.
Yeah, it's you know what, my buddy drove me here, and he was just telling me, because I woke up and got some coffee and headed over here. But anyway, I didn't know that all this was going on, and that they, one of them is gone now, right?
Yeah, one of them got killed last night in a firefight, and then his brother supposedly ran him over on the car away to get away, and has somehow gotten through about 9,000 cops. Wow. About 9,000 cops.
Wow, and they're brothers.
Yeah. And they're from, where are they from, Chris, exactly? Chechnya.
And you know what's odd? It's crazy because I didn't realize this was going on. And when I was walking to get coffee,
yeah,
and I don't want to say what ethnicity they are, but they were, and this guy walked by and goes, "Terrorists." And right. I was like, whoa, man, what the heck's going on? Like, there's just some random dude yelling at these guys walking by. And I'm wondering if it's because he's stuff's heating up, and
yeah,
dudes are pointing fingers. I don't know. It was so odd to me to see something like that. But again, at the same time, I didn't know this was going on. Yeah. And that must be what's sparking. Anyway, it was weird.
I was talking to my cab driver this morning coming in. He was like, "This is the last thing I need, man," because that starts that shit back up. If you're Middle Eastern, you're taking the heat for everybody, for everybody. So how you doing, man? Everything cool?
Things are good, man. I'm really excited about this tour. It's like we've been working on the cartoon for about a year and a half. I believe it's been a year and a half to 2 years. And I'm just very excited that it's over with. And it's crazy because I finally, I've been watching it throughout to do sound mixes and to voiceover and animation. But I haven't watched it from beginning to end yet. And,
right.
I can, but I don't want to. I'm honestly excited to watch tomorrow, You
want to see it on the big screen and see it with everybody else?
Exactly. It'll be nice to see it, for me to see it the first time, because, again, I've seen chunks and I know every bit of it because I produced it and put it together, but I know where I laugh and what makes me laugh. But it'll be awesome to see from beginning to end with other people, see how they react to these jokes that I laugh at, and what makes my wife laugh and Kevin laugh, and so it's
you and
exciting.
Kevin have had this like crazy relationship with your fans over the years, where I can't think of anyone else who makes films that has that kind of relationship. So going out on the road with the movie has now become almost the norm, right? After he did it for the last film.
Yeah, he did it with Red State, and then we've been touring with Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. It's a podcast we do,
right.
But we do ours live. We've never done, we've done one that was at home, but that was like, episode 103, and that's just because we were doing a special. But anyway, we do our show live. Yeah, I mean, we like to interact with the audience and, hang out and sign stuff and take pictures and chit chat and just see how they react to the content that were projects or what have you, that we're delivering. And it's been awesome, man. It's still surreal to me to this day. I was roofing and doing construction. Kevin's like, "I wrote this part for you. I'm making a movie." Even after we were done shooting Clerks, he went to Sundance. I just went back to work, and it wasn't until Mallrats. And then after Mallrats, I did an independent movie with Drawing Flies that I was like, wow, this is something I might be able to do. And that's when people started actually, after Mallrats came out and Clerks was out, people started being like, "Hey, you're that guy." And that was just still surreal then, and it's still surreal now. That
so you, for a while, it just felt like you were fucking around and, hey, if this would last just a little while. I noticed in the promo with this, you guys tie in your sobriety with the trailer. Is that important to you to keep it out there and stay honest about it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's been a really big help this time around. I've had a few times sober, and I feel like the last time I almost had 5 years. I just wasn't going to meetings and talking to people, and I just wasn't being accountable to anyone. I was like, oh, I have almost 5 years sober, I'm great. Oh, I got kidney stones, and they gave me painkillers, and I can handle it, but I couldn't handle it. But
that's
this
the same exact way that I am, man. I have to be so careful with it, and I actually got my appendix out a couple years ago and fucking refused everything because I'm just like, I don't even though it's been years for me, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it.
I'm you know, and since then I haven't had any type of situation happen for me to be like, oh, I'm in so much pain, and hopefully I won't. But this time I do feel like, you know, if something occurred where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so much pain, I have to take something. At least I talk about it so much. I feel like I would tell everyone, like, hey, you know, here we are, get old, and I have so 1,000 and such days, or almost 3 years, and I'm in so much pain. I have to take these painkillers, but I'm going to talk to you guys about it every time, and that's been a big help. And I talk to my wife about it now. Kevin, just the whole idea of people knowing and me telling stories and reminding me, besides me being accountable, me telling stories and reminding myself. That's the other thing.
Man.
I think I got so on such a cloud nine because things started coming together. I had like 4 years sober. I met this girl we were getting married, and I was working a bunch, and things were so good that I almost forgot that if I take a couple painkillers, I'm going to be shooting toilet water.
Right, exactly right, man. It's fucked up how success can be one of the worst things that can happen to you. It's every bit as bad as failure and physical pain. That still has me baffled. I don't know what you're supposed to. And now I've met people in the program who are like, oh no, I treat medicine as medicine. I'm like, I'm not there yet. Because here's what happened. Literally, when I said finally, God, I'm not going to do it. And then and the doctors were like, I said, no, I can't. And finally, I couldn't take the pain anymore. And as soon as they said yes, I went like this. Hey, where's my iPod? I'm going to fucking put on this Velvet Underground record. And at the exact moment the drip hits, I'm going to have this song. And I'm fucking talking like a lunatic. Like a goddamn lunatic.
You're already prepping.
In the middle of my pain, I'm like, how can this become now the greatest experience? And that pulled me back again. But really, that even fucking made me start to even hate myself. Like a little more like, why can't you be like a regular fucking person, man?
No, I think, especially for me, I think booze reminds me of that all the time, because if I'm out and everyone's having a drink and excuse me, and it's if it's summer and if there's an outdoor bar and everyone's having these cold frosty ones, I'm like, it'd be nice just to have one beer. But again, I know I can't. Like someone was asking, I was talking to someone outside actually right before I came up, and I was explaining to him like, it's crazy because drinking and weed I don't think is my thing. Like I have nothing against either one, especially weed. Like I really do, and I've been preaching this a bunch, but it's true. Like my mom is passed on now, but she had HIV and passed from that. Excuse me. My buddy had cancer, passed now at 22. But both of them, the only thing that helped them eat and keep any weight on was marijuana. And I'm all for it because I really do think marijuana, if it's medically used, it can be used for good. Now drinking, I think. Drinking, people will do silly things like drink and drive and get in fights and stuff. But again, a couple of cold beers would be nice. But
you don't stop there because that's
I don't either.
Yeah, because that's also where you would go. You know what? Now I have a couple of beers, I'm on the fucking rail. You know what I mean? Like there's
exactly.
You just can't think that. You can't think like other people. And if I have to go out to a party or a bar with things, I make sure that I go a little later so people are messy. Because the last thing I wanted to see them is the first margarita. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when everybody looks great and all that. It's so awful to be around those people that just enjoying life.
Like you get that little buzz and everyone's like, hey, what's up, man? It's great to see you.
And then suddenly women are just so attractive and life is worth living. You're like, oh. But when you were at your worst, you stayed away from even Kevin, right? I mean, you...
Yeah, well, I mean, I would call him, but the last time around, I feel like... well, not the last time around, because last time around, like, I tried to avoid him when I was messed up.
Right.
But for about a year, I was taking painkillers and would see him, again, not as much as now, but at least once, twice a month, I would go over, say what's up, or he'd be like, hey, let's do this. And I would see him and I'd be messed up, and I would just try to get by him. I would think to myself, oh, he's not going to be able to tell. And a few times he still could, he talks about it now. He knew, but he was sort of in denial. Like one time we were driving to Vegas and I had just taken like 30 bikes and I'm in the car, on the way there, and he's talking to me and I'm like, yeah, that's a great idea, dude. That's right. And then he went out, we got to the hotel and he was meeting with someone and he came back to the room. I was like, you're having a big important meeting. But really, I just knew I was so messed up. At that point, it was like, even me who likes to take him and get messed up, I was like, wow, I could tell I took too many to where I was doing a nod and being with him. I was like, oh, I wish I could take it back. Like, you run in circles, you try to wake up.
Right.
But as soon as you chill and get relaxed, you're like, wake up. And that's how I was when I was with him in the hotel with meeting these people. So he's like, I'm going to go to the room. I'm going to get some food. I'm starving. You're meeting. It's important. But then he said he came back to the room, and I don't know why I do this. I'm going to have to step away from Mike, but it's so weird. He caught me, and you can maybe describe it. I was standing up, and he said I was doing this.
Yeah, it's that junkie standing, and
he said I was doing this.
Yeah.
Like swinging in the air, and he didn't know what the heck I was doing, and I don't remember doing that. But
it's where you can always see that exact thing you're doing outside methadone clinics, and methadone is another one of those things where people are like, oh, I'm using it to get off, but drugs, but really it's just another fucking fun drug to be on.
Yeah, and he came in and he was like, wow. And he still was denying it. Like he still had the denial, and just because. I had so much time. Again, not so much time, but I had almost 5 years that he was like, he really thought I was going to stay off it. So this time around, when I got sober again, like 3 months in, is when the cartoon came about. And I told him, I said, last time it's like I sort of got content with, working 3 weeks on a movie, and then I'd have 3 weeks to do nothing, and then I'd do 2 weeks here. And I said, so when I'm not shooting a movie or doing something, I need to keep busy in between there. And I said, so I want to start producing and directing and doing different stuff to even if I'm not acting, I could be at home on the computer working on something else, or going to meetings to work on producing this or direct it, whatever it might be. And he's like, well, what do you and I told him I wanted to start producing, and he said, well, you need a script, and he gave me the Jay and Bob's Super Groovy cartoon movie script. He had written it like 4 years prior, and it was sitting on the shelves, and so I started working on that, and it's been awesome. And then we started doing the podcast soon after, like right around that same time we started doing the podcast. So when I'm not shooting a movie or going to meetings or auditions to try to get movies, we're doing the podcast and touring with it. And we were working on the cartoon, and now we're touring with the cartoon. So it's been pretty cool. I've been keeping pretty busy, and then I've been going to meetings. I've been going to these early meetings. I realize I need to get up and do 8:30 meetings or 9 a.m. meetings, because if I'm like, oh, I'll go to the one at 1 or 2, then of course by 12:01, I'm like, someone will call and be like, hey, you want to grab some breakfast, lunch, and then do you want to go do this? And then I won't go to a meeting. So I've been doing
it's
that.
so easy to fucking find any excuse not to do it.
Exactly.
But what about when you're on the road? Do you try meetings in new towns?
I do. If we're somewhere for a couple of days, which actually last night I was thinking about, we did press all day, and then I was done by like 8 o'clock. So I had a few hours, and I'm like, there's got to be a couple of meetings in New York. And I thought about it, and I didn't go. But today I have a full day. After the next couple hours, the rest of the day, I don't have anything really going on. I want to maybe go to Jersey, see my family, but I do want to hit a meeting. And then as for when we're on the road, the bummer is we're only gone like 7 days, but we're going to be driving or flying to a city. We have about 4 or 5 hours. Then we do the show. Then we go to bed, then wake up, start driving to the next or flying to the next city. But again, it's about an 8-day stint, and then I'll be back home, and then I'll be able to go. But when I have time, yes, like I went to one in Canada last time I was there. I went to one when I was in London last time. So it's cool. I want to actually go and explore.
It's a really fun thing to do when you go into other towns, because you just go and see all the people that oddly, it feels like you know them.
Yeah.
Like fucking moments walking in, you've got more in common with those people than anywhere else. Yeah. But it's also how cool and lucky that you've got this genius to do business with instead of being a roofer. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
you have
sure.
so much to look forward to. And the fact that, Kevin had something laying around for a couple years and given you the opportunity to produce.
Yeah.
And you seem like you also, that's also a big part of your personality as well, of pulling these kind of things together and being part of it and having the energy to do that, man.
No, it is. It's been awesome. But yes, luckily for him, because it's like I do have things where I'm like, all right, I want to, and thanks to my wife too, honestly, and I'm not just saying that 'cause I'm like, oh, my wife, but she honestly, like where I was starting to fall short, I'm like, wow, I don't know how to get contracts together and do this and that.
Right.
Like she knew how to handle that, and she's been a big part of helping with the cartoon. And like I handled, her and I together found sound studios to do the voiceovers at, but she would handle like, okay, well, they have to sign this and do this, and then setting up the tour, like helping, being like, here's some cities we can go to, and here's the route. Like my geography's off. I keep messing up Washington D.C. and Seattle, Washington. You know what I mean? Because Washington's in both, and to me, I'm like, it's the same place. So luckily I have her for that. But yeah, it's luckily he got the creative, and he wrote, and he's like, I want to do tour with it. And then I, thought of him, and I sat down and talked about all the people we want to do the voiceovers: Tara Strong, Ralph Garman, Eliza Dushku, Neil Gaiman, just awesome people who chipped in and was part of the voiceover process. And then even like the guy who did the opening credits is awesome. He's this kid named Anthony. He's amazing. And the dude who cut it together, Josh Earl. I mean, just everyone that was part of it. Like, we didn't have a lot of money, and so it's been really awesome experience to putting this cartoon together and working with everybody and everyone helping out.
And now finding yourself being involved in more than just coming in, doing your scenes and splitting like in the old days. You're really involved in it. But you know what's weird? When you go back and watch Clerks, being that you were a roofer and maybe Kevin just thought you were a funny guy, but you weren't thinking about acting. And we're, 20 years out?
Almost 20, yeah.
If you look back on it, you seem like the most natural actor in the whole bunch.
Well, thank you.
There was something so natural, and I think that's why people have always liked you right from the beginning. There's always been something so real about you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, and I was terrified to Clerks, the first one. I was so terrified. I remember, he gave me the script and he's like, you have to memorize this. We're going to shoot. And it was fine at first. Like, I'd read through the script and go over stuff with him. But then when I'd get in front of the camera, even though it wasn't even like the studio movies where there's like, a bunch of guys doing cameras here, lights and this and that. It was just like Kevin, Scott Mosier, Dave Klein, and a couple of our friends and a couple other actresses or actors. So there's about 10 people total on set. But I would get so nervous looking around. It was weird because the things that I say in the movie, the character says, Jay, is things I said for real. Like, Kevin and I hanging out, we'd be driving down the street and I'd be like, what up, bitches? What up, sluts? You ever fucking fat? Just silly things like that I really would say. But when I got in front of the camera and people were staring and waiting for me to say it, I'd be like, what up, bitches? It was so weird. And Kevin was like, what do you mean you say this all the time? You can't say it now? I was like, yeah, but it's different now. Like, when I'm obnoxious, like, I'm really entertaining myself, and if I get a smile from people, that's awesome. But it's not me being like, all right, there he is. He's sitting across from me, and I'm going to make him laugh.
Nothing was ever planned.
It's weird. So when it was planned, like, okay, I got to get up and make him laugh. It was so I'm glad that it came off easy. And to be honest, back then was right when I started drinking, and not hardcore, but I'm saying I used to have to drink a little bit of brandy to get a little loose, but I could handle it. Then I'd drink when I was shooting, and that was it. Or I'd drink with my friends on the weekends down at the beach and party. But But you know, that's when I can look back and actually be like, you know, drinking and smoking and stuff was all right, because I would only smoke if I was with, you know, oh, we got a doobie for this party with the girls.
Yeah.
You know, we got a little booze to a couple of shots of brandy. But, you know, then it was like right around 21, I tried dope for the first time with this girl, and then a little bit of coke, and then, oh, it was over then.
Yeah, that's when you're like, oh, no, I want to do this by myself. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not fun. All right, you guys are down here. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm going to check on a couple things. You're fucking done with everybody else.
Yeah.
But, you know, going back to that, it reminds me of, like, why I think Kevin is so brilliant. Because not only does he have his own shit, but then be able to see that in other people. Like, be able to see, like, wow, this Mewes kid is so fucking strange and cool. I'm going to try to bring that into this and make it part of it. And that is producing, directing, creating. I mean, it's where you find yourself now of how do you pull that whole thing together and have it make sense, you know?
No, it is. He said, you know, he's, you know, when he tells his story about that, it's like, that's what he says. He says he thought I was funny and obnoxious in a weird way, that he wondered if other people would find that humor, you know, funny. And, but same thing, not even me. Like, I feel like, you know, I remember him seeing Jason Lee. Like, Jason Lee had never acted before. He was a professional skater. And when he came in the room for Mallrats and auditioned, Kevin was like, this kid is brilliant. He's going to be really good. And look at him now. He's like, Lee's all over. And I'm not saying like, not to say like Kevin made his career or anything. I'm just saying like Kevin spotted that early. So
well, yeah,
like,
you got to be able to spot
right.
it. And then there's also a weird thing, and Jason Lee, I don't know if anyone does that dialogue that Kevin writes as good as him. Mm. And then when you see Jason do other things, you're like, yeah, but shouldn't you, you know, like you almost want Kevin in every project that he's in a weird way, because there's a certain connection that all you guys have. And that's why when I hear Kevin talk about, you know, ending this thing, I'm like, no, that can't happen.
Well, I know right now he's writing Clerks 3, and hopefully things go as planned, because I know there's, you know, some politics involved, I believe, with the studio. He has to do this and do that. And then you never, you know, he hasn't really sat down and talked to Jeff and Brian, Dante Randall, and saw, you know, what do you think about doing another one? So we'll see what happens, but I hope so, because it's a blast. I mean, the cartoon's definitely a blast, but I tell Kevin, I've done, you know, a good handful of movies now, you know, in Canada and here and there, and it's always a blast being on set and being part of these projects. And shooting a movie is just a blast most of the time. I mean, don't get me wrong, sometimes it can be, and I can't imagine, I've never done stuff like, you know, when you see these movies where people are whatever, fighting polar bears and hanging from strings for an hour and doing this. It's actually hard work, and they're long days. But with Kevin, I don't know, there's something about all of Kevin's movies. One, of course, is him and I are close, but you know, it's like we have this, we've almost had the same script supervisor on every one of Kevin's movies, the same transportation guys, and the DP and the producer, and so it's almost like you don't see everyone for like 2-3 years, and all of a sudden you spend 2-3 months with the same people, and it's it's really awesome. And it's always, to me, not to mention, to me, it's always like I always flash back to Mallrats, like Mallrats. And it sounds so corny. And I told Kevin this the other day, like those 2 months were the most like amazing. Like when I think back, it's almost like, you know, I can't even explain really, give it detail, but it's just, it was so fun because we were out, like it was the first time I ever went and stayed in a hotel for 2 months, room service, and then you got per diem, and then everyone would meet after shooting in the, at the pool or at the bar and hang out and talk about the day and what's going on, and you'd hear stories. And I got to meet Stan Lee, which was amazing, and it was just so much fun, you know, and dressing up with costuming, having props, and we never had that before. And, you know, it was just such a blast that I'm just saying, like, I feel like each time we do a movie together, one of these movies, the View Askew movies, that it almost is that same vibe. It's always a little different, but it's almost that same, you know, where...
Mallrats, to me, is like, it always seemed like it should have been a TV show. You know what I mean? Like, that thing could have went on for years, because there was so many stories and so many different places to go that a movie was almost too short.
Yeah,
to do the whole
no,
thing.
for sure. Like the whole the mall where what's her name? I can't believe I'm Barnes. Priscilla
Yeah.
Barnes. You know, Priscilla Barnes worked there. I feel like they could have used that as a place they went all the time. The dirt mall they called it, and then the mall, all the different stores and the things going on like Fashionable Mail and all that. So you're right. I feel like it could have been. It could have been definitely a show for sure. Maybe we should make it a show. We'll make it a show.
Yeah,
right
we'll
here,
make
baby.
it a show. We'll go off on it. Well, first of all, let me just say before I let you go, again, I'm so happy that you're doing good, man.
Thank you.
Above all, I want you to do that because everybody just, everybody loves you, man, and your health and you keeping it together. And then the bonus is to see that you're doing great work back with Kevin again. And I think it's terrific. You get the chance, one thing about these guys, when you go to this tour, you guys are willing to meet everybody. Kevin is great about that. It's Jay and Silent Bob's Super Groovy Cartoon Movie Tour. It starts tomorrow, 4/20, at Center Stage Theater in Atlanta, Georgia. And then you guys are going to be on the road with it. I'll go to csmod.com/Groovy Movie. And on Twitter, it's at JMewes.
Yeah, J-A-Y, baby.
Thanks so much, my man.
Sorry, thank you.
It's great to talk to you, and I'll see you next time coming through.
Thank you very much.